Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be taking a look at another twisted case with you. Our love and respect go out to all those who knew and loved the victims and all those affected by this case. Let's journey to Pike County, Ohio, to uncover the unimaginable events of the Pike County Massacre, a brutal crime that left an entire community distraught and searching for answers. In the early hours of April 22, 2016, there was a series of murders in 4 different homes, a well-planned murder targeting the members of the Rhodes family. What came next was a complex investigation that searched deeply into the dark side of rural America. Pike County, Ohio is a quiet rural area where the community is close-knit and life is generally peaceful. But on April 22, 2016, that peace was shattered. 8 members of the Rhoden family were discovered brutally murdered in their homes. Among the victims were 7 adults and a teenage boy, all killed in what seemed like a meticulously planned attack. Christopher Rhoden Sr., aged 40, worked as a laborer at Big Bear Lake Family Resort in Lucasville, Ohio. He shared a trailer home with his cousin, Gary Rhoden, aged 38, who was also Christopher's best friend. Gary was understanding of Christopher's difficulties with drug and alcohol abuse. Their trailer was located at 4077 Union Hill Road. Christopher's ex-wife, Dana Manley Rhoden, aged 37, worked as a nursing assistant at Hillside Skilled Nursing Rehabilitation Center in Peebles, Ohio, now closed. Together, they had 3 children, 20-year-old Clarence, also known as Frankie, 19-year-old Hannah Mae, and 16-year-old Chris Jr. Dana, Hannah, and Chris Jr. lived together at 3122 Union Hill Road, about 1.5 miles from Christopher and Gary's residence. Meanwhile, Frankie and his fiancée lived nearby in their own trailer. Frankie worked at a local sawmill and occasionally joined his father at Big Bear Lake. He was an avid hunter and fisherman who enjoyed demolition derbies. Frankie was engaged to Hannah Hazel Gilley, a 20-year-old lady. They had a 3-year-old son from a previous relationship and a 6-month-old baby boy together. Hannah Hazel was described as a devoted mother to their infant son and deeply in love with Frankie. Hannah Mae Rhoden worked as a certified nursing assistant, or CNA, and was nearing high school graduation on May 2016. She had 2 daughters, 2-year-old Sophia, who came as a result of a previous relationship with Jake Wagner, and Kylie, who was just 5 days old. Hannah was in a custody battle with Jake Wagner for the custody of Sophia, but Kylie lived with her. Hannah Mae was known for her dedication as a mother to her daughters. Chris Rhoden Jr. was a freshman at Piketon High School. Recently licensed to drive, he lived with his mother, Dana Manley Rhoden, his sister Hannah, and Hannah's children. Kenneth Rhoden, aged 44, Christopher Sr.'s brother, was fond of motorcycles and had a daily routine that started at 4:30 a.m., commuting to Columbus, Ohio, for work at a utility company. He lived in a camper at 799 Left Fork Road, approximately 15 minutes from the rest of the family. Bobby Jo Manley, Dana's sister, was close to the Rhoden family. Christopher Sr. had been assisting Bobby Jo financially since she was unemployed. Bobby Jo regularly visited their property at 4077 Union Hill Road to help care for their animals. On Friday, April 22, 2016, Bobby Jo made a disturbing discovery when she arrived at Christopher and Gary's trailer to feed the livestock like she usually did every morning. She found the dogs outside, which was unusual because they were usually kept indoors. And she also found Christopher's truck still in the driveway when he should have been at work by this time. Then upon entering, she found Christopher Sr. and Gary deceased inside the trailer. There was blood all around the front door. In the living room, it was obvious the furniture had been moved, and then there was a trail that led to the back bedrooms, where their bodies were discovered on the floor under a comforter. The scene showed that they had been beaten badly. After Bobby Jo discovered the bodies of her brother-in-law and his cousin, she immediately called the police to inform them about this. James, Bobby's cousin, noticed she had been gone for too long. He saw her leave in the morning to go feed the chickens, but knew she should have been back by that time. He drove to Christopher's home on Union Hill Road to check on her, but upon arrival, he saw Bobby Jo hastily leave in her truck. All she could say was, "Something terrible has happened." Concerned, James followed her immediately. Bobby drove over to Frankie's trailer to alert him of what she had just seen.
Breaking news out of Pike County, Ohio. A mass shooting today in different locations. We have team coverage today here
on the morning of April 22nd, 2016. Police are called to Union Hill Road in Pike County, Ohio.
There's blood all over the house. Okay. My brother lost his bedroom and looks like I beat the hell out of him.
Never have we lost so many people to a murderer or murderers in this county.
6 adults and 1 teenager are found murdered execution style across 3 properties. They're all members of the same family, the Rhoden family.
They arrived at Frankie's trailer, where his 3-year-old son answered the door and mentioned that his father had a lot of blood. Inside, they found Frankie and his fiancée, Hannah Hazel, lying in bed, covered in blood, with their 6-month-old baby unharmed, but also covered in blood. Their hearts were gripped with fear. Just some minutes ago, they had seen the lifeless bodies of Christopher and Gary, only to meet Frankie and his fiancée also dead. This was quickly turning into a nightmare. Bobby called 911 earlier, and she knew they would be at Christopher's trailer soon, so she didn't need to call them again. All she needed was to wake up from this terrible nightmare. James suggested that he drive over to Dana's house to inform her of what was happening and to make sure she was safe.
James Manley recalled being off work the morning the bodies were discovered and hearing there was something wrong at the Rhoden's house. His sister Bobby Jo Manley had gone there to do her daily work for Chris Rhoden Sr. and his family. James Manley recalled what it was like inside the bedroom of Chris's son Frankie and his fiancée Hannah Gilly. That's where the family found this couple's 6-month-old son Ruger covered in blood and shown here.
Blood everywhere.
You say blood everywhere. Can you tell us where specifically?
It's on the body, on the bed, on the walls.
Bobby stayed with the kids, and James sped off to get Dana. When he got there, he found the door open. He called Dana's name but got no response. Walking through the house toward Dana's room, James found her room pitch dark. After searching through the darkness, he found her on her bed, but she wasn't responding, and it became obvious to him that she was also dead. He ran out of the house terrified and confused about what to do. He couldn't bring himself to enter the trailer again or face the fact that his cousin was dead, even though he heard 5-day-old Kylie crying from inside the trailer. He then decided to quickly go over to his house to get his wife and then come back to get Kylie. When James got back to Dana's trailer with his wife, he still couldn't bring himself to enter the trailer. Fortunately, the police passed by them on their way to the crime scene at Christopher's house, so they flagged them down. After the police entered the trailer, they found not just Dana, but also Chris Jr. and Hannah dead in their beds and covered in blood. Hannah's 5-day-old infant Kylie was next to her diaper soaked in blood. Fortunately, Hannah's 3-year-old daughter Sophie was unharmed as she was with her father at the time. Following the discovery of these 7 family members, James decided to check on Kenneth at his trailer, 15 minutes away. By 1:26 p.m. that same day, 911 received another call reporting Kenneth's body as the 8th victim.
I just found my cousin with a gunshot wound.
The police began investigating to try and figure out what went down. When they checked Frankie and Hannah Hazel's trailer, they found them in their beds with gunshot wounds to their heads. Autopsies revealed Frankie had been shot 3 times at close range, while Hannah Hazel suffered 5 gunshot wounds to her face and head, with evidence of the baby moving and climbing on her after the attack. Hannah Hazel was discovered wearing an unclipped nursing bra, suggesting she may have been nursing her baby at the time of her death.
You came in like thieves in the night and took 8 lives, some being children, in the most horrific way I've ever seen in my 20-plus years. We are getting closer. We will find you.
After the bodies were removed and sent for examination, investigators found significant evidence at the crime scene. In the bedroom, where the victims were shot, investigators recovered 5 cartridge casings from Remington brand bullets. Additionally, Another bullet belonging to a different brand was found near the bedroom door, indicating the use of multiple firearms during the crime. Dana was found with 5 gunshot wounds to her head, Hannah Mae with 2, and Chris Rhoden Jr. with 4, including 2 to the top of his head. Kenneth Rhoden was shot once in the right eye, and Gary Rhoden sustained 3 close-range gunshot wounds to the head. Chris Rhoden Sr. exhibited defensive injuries, suggesting a struggle with the attacker. He sustained 9 gunshot wounds to his head, torso, and arms, indicating the severity of the assault. The medical examiner determined that Gary and Chris Sr. were likely murdered around 11 p.m. on Thursday, April 21st, the night before their bodies were discovered. Most family members were believed to have been killed while they were sleeping, with a few exceptions. The murders appeared to be execution-style shootings occurring late on April 21st into April 22, 2016. Much of the forensic focus was on the property where Gary and Chris Sr. lived, a rural area with a trailer, several cars, a semi-truck, and a shed. Inside the trailer, investigators found extensive blood spatter and stains, even on the ceilings. Evidence suggested that at least one victim, likely Chris Sr., was initially shot in the living room and then moved to the bedroom where they were ultimately found. The investigation uncovered multiple shoe prints tracking blood throughout the trailer, indicating the movement of a body from the living room through the kitchen to the bedroom. Bullet holes were found in the door frame leading into the trailer and in the walls, suggesting the assailants may have fired from the porch. Investigators also recovered bullets and bullet fragments from various locations: the living room, bedroom, front porch, and kitchen. Despite Bobby Joe's statement about the recliner being moved, no other signs of struggle were found. No overturned furniture, displaced items, or damaged walls. DNA swabs were taken from the doorknob, blood pooling areas, clothing items, and bullets recovered from the scene, but none yielded any match to a suspect. Outside, at another building on the property, police found a door with a broken handle, likely forced open. Above this door was a surveillance camera, but all wiring had been disconnected, and the recording device was missing, indicating that the intruders knew how to evade detection. Additional DNA was collected from outdoor items such as cords, cameras, a Mountain Dew bottle, and cigarette butts, all of which matched the victims, but provided no new leads. During a search of the property, investigators discovered 3 sites where marijuana was grown spread across 4 locations. However, the way they were planted showed that they were grown for commercial purposes rather than personal use. This made the investigators wonder whether the murders were linked to a drug cartel. In October 2016, police announced a significant shift in their investigation into the Rhoden family murders. Initially believed to be a cartel-style killing, they now suspected an execution-style killing, potentially linked to a local marijuana operation.
I think it's okay for us to confirm that we did find marijuana in 3 locations. These are grow operations.
The police also believed the killers were familiar with the area and the properties. Months passed without progress, despite having extensive evidence, including blood, bullet casings, and 4 crime scenes. They couldn't find usable DNA evidence. By June 2017, police turned their attention to the Wagner family: George Billy Wagner III, his wife Angela, and their sons George Wagner IV and Edward Jake Wagner. They wanted to know if the Wagner family had any clue that could help in the investigation. Jake Wagner had a history with Hannah Rhoden, whom he had his daughter Sophia with. Their relationship began when Hannah was 13 and Jake was 18. The two had a custody battle over Sophie after they broke up with allegations of abuse and questions about the paternity of Hannah's younger child, Kylie. The Wagner family allegedly tried to get Hannah to sign away her parental rights to Sophie just weeks before her murder. Jake's grandmother, Rita Newcomb, forged a custody document in the case. The Wagner family claimed that because of how close they were to the Rhodens, they were devastated by the news and decided to move to Alaska. As the investigation continued, police discovered the custody battle between Jake and Hannah was more intense than initially thought, starting as far back as November 2013. They discovered that Jake pressured Hannah to move in with his family so they could raise their daughter Sophie together, but she consistently refused, because she knew he just wanted to control her. Jake sent texts demanding she choose to live with him or lose him and Sophie.
4 months before she was shot to death, Hannah Mae Rhoden and Jake Wagner had a testy exchange that Jake secretly recorded. It was about custody issues involving the young daughter they had together.
I'm gonna be late. So you pick up today, and I pick up tomorrow, and so on and so on.
Hannah told Jake, in so many words, he didn't have the right to be so controlling.
Yeah, my daughter.
I don't care. Have a nice day.
He claimed he wasn't controlling her but wanted to build a home with her. Their disagreements continued for 2 years until Hannah ended their relationship on March 2015, when she started receiving threats and violence from Jake. On December 2015, Hannah expressed her refusal to let Jake have custody of Sophie in a Facebook message. These all made the police suspect them even more. The police dug into the case some more, and finally, some leads were obtained. On November 2018, 6 of the Wagner family were arrested. They were accused of plotting and murdering 8 of the Rhoden family members, just so they could take custody of Hannah's daughter, Sophie. The arrests came with evidence, including Angela Wagner's hacking of Hannah's Facebook profile and the purchasing of new shoes and a truck to avoid being detected. They also prepared silencers for the guns used and studied the victims' routines. In June 2019, the court dropped charges against Billy's mother, Frederica, who was initially accused of lying to the court and hiding bulletproof vests worn during the murders.
Breaking news.
We begin with a huge break in the brutal murders of 8 members of the Rhoden family in Pike County.
Today we have the answer. Members of one family conspired, planned, carried out, and then allegedly covered up their violent act to wipe out members of another family.
During the court trials, Jake confessed that he was responsible for killing 5 out of the 8 victims. He confessed to also being involved in all of the 8 murders. His cooperation helped the police discover critical evidence, including the truck George Wagner purchased specifically to be used on the night of the murders, and the police also discovered guns hidden inside cement blocks. In addition to the murder charges, Jake admitted he was guilty of multiple offenses, including conspiracy, burglary, possession of dangerous weapons, evidence tampering, forgery, and more. He received a life sentence in prison as punishment. During the trials, Jake claimed that he felt compelled to kill Hannah, and then also her brother, father, and uncle, just to prevent them from retaliating. He also claimed that all other victims were killed just so he could eliminate any witnesses. Before the murders, the Wagner family prepared themselves by acquiring gun silencers, a phone jammer, and bug detectors. Jake also admitted to using a Walther Colt 1911 handgun to kill 5 victims, while his father, Billy, used a .40 caliber Glock to kill 3 others. George, despite not physically killing anyone, was implicated in planning, executing, and covering up the murders. George Wagner took to the witness stand himself, and he stated that he had no prior knowledge of the murders and would never participate if his family had asked him to. He admitted that he was involved in theft, but denied knowing about his family's capability for murder, especially of 8 people. That all turned out to be lies because he was later on found guilty and received life imprisonment without parole. Angela was first charged with murder alongside her son Jake, but her murder charges were dropped after the court confirmed she was at home with her grandchildren during the murders. Instead, she was charged with conspiracy, burglary, evidence tampering, forgery, property misuse, and weapon possession. Angela then also received a 30-year prison sentence and also agreed to testify against her family members as well. Following the verdict, the family members and friends of the Rhodens made emotional statements in court, condemning the senseless crime. Meanwhile, Billy Wagner's trial has been moved to 2025, with him denying all allegations placed against him even when his family had already testified to them. This case involved 3 small children who are now in safe custody with family members. When we think about what really caused the murders of the Rhoden family, the custody dispute over Sophie stands out as the only driving force, leading to the planning and then the gruesome murder of these victims. The surviving children, who experienced the trauma of witnessing their parents' murders, will carry the scars of this tragedy for a long time. The legal proceedings against the Wagner family have been lengthy and complex. Plea deals and negotiations have been ongoing, with Jake Wagner pleading guilty in 2021 to avoid the death penalty and agreeing to testify against his family members. The trials for the other accused family members are still unfolding, with the community and nation watching closely. What do you think about this case? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you want more videos like this, please be sure to like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more true crime videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.